Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Global PeopleSoft Day, presented by Quest and Oracle. You've joined us today for Let Us Try It, PeopleSoft Chatbot. Before we get started, just want to let you guys know a few housekeeping. Our sessions are being recorded and we'll be posting on the Quest content library. I'll make sure that you guys get information as soon as that's available. We are going to be hosting a question and answer session, so please feel free to submit in your questions, and we'll answer those at the end of the session. So please submit those into the question module itself. Again, thank you guys for joining us for Global PeopleSoft Day. You've joined us for Let Us Try It, PeopleSoft Chatbot, presented by Oracle. So at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Samida with Oracle to go get us started.
Thanks, Darren. Happy Global PeopleSoft Day to everyone. Let's get started with PeopleSoft Chatbots. So quickly, okay. So let me introduce the team. We are going to be three of us who would be talking through the PeopleSoft Chatbots today. I'm Samidha Rege. I'm the Chatbot Strategist and Product Manager. I will be followed by Tarun and Priyamvada, who are the architects for the development of our application bots and the entire framework, which I will be running through in the next few slides. So let's get started. And before we start, obviously the safe harbor statement applies. So any information that we state in this call, especially the roadmap areas or any other designs in progress, are subject to change. So please bear that in mind. All right, and this is the agenda. So what we are going to talk about today is, I would be initially giving you a context about why we started off with PeopleSoft Chatbots. Why did we do it in the first place? Followed by what has been our journey thus far. I'll talk about the roadmap that we have for both the HCM and the FSCM pillar. And then we will actually start getting into the steps to build a chatbot, which Tarun and Priyamvada in the team would actually show you a live demo of. All right. So let me get started. So first question, why? Why did we ever venture into PeopleSoft Chatbots? So just to give a great context, obviously you are all a part of this evolution as you can call it. Communication evolution has come to a stage where messaging has far surpassed social media. Now everybody wants a personalized experience where they can simply talk or message about their requirements and get it through. That's the personalized experience everybody's looking for. Improved business. So if you're an organization representing an organization or a partner, for you it will be an improved business because it gives you a better response rate. Many of your HCM or FSCM functions, especially now that I'm talking in PeopleSoft context, you get a better response rate, increased productivity, and obviously cost savings. Now your users do not have to pick up the phone and make calls to your HR or admins to do the tasks that our chatbots will make available for them. The second part, at the end user level, your employees, your vendors, contractors, whoever are your personas that we are trying to address, they will have an enhanced user experience. One, because they are getting a messaging conversational experience, which they obviously are preferring today. And it is faster, it is less invasive because you don't have to go through different mediums. There are no offline processes in between, and it becomes much more of a personalized experience. Last but not the least, we have an extensive source data and logic with PeopleSoft. We have a lot of HCM, FSCM, ELM data that we have a lot of application built around it. And we have Oracle Digital Assistant, our own bot technology platform. So we just needed to bring these two pieces in together and bring the best out of it, leverage it so that we bring out something, that is the best for our customers and users alike. So that's where PeopleSoft ventured into chatbot around a year and a half ago. We started off. That was how the journey began. So what did we do? Okay. So as I mentioned in my previous slide, we had PeopleSoft, we have Oracle Digital Assistant, all a part of our Oracle product suite altogether. What we really needed is that one missing piece called the framework or the integration piece that was required to bound PeopleSoft and Oracle Digital Assistant. We named it the Chatbot Integration Framework. So right now, just bear with me what I'm talking about. We just developed a complete framework to start off with, even before building out the application bots, whether it was an HCM or FSCM or ELM bot. This was the framework piece that we needed to build, and that's what we started with. So what does this chatbot integration framework do for you today? All right, and let me go through it one by one. So one, obviously, as I mentioned, it integrates PeopleSoft with Oracle Digital Assistant with a set of custom components that helps them to seamlessly talk to each other, both understand each other's language. Information that is passed between them is completely taken care of by this integration framework. The security aspect, the data that flows in between PeopleSoft and Digital Assistant is made secure. The security, PeopleSoft security is also extended with the help of the chatbot integration framework. Authentication aspect. So how do you understand which employee is using the chatbot, that the employee does not, refer to information that he's not supposed to access? The authentication aspect is also taken part as a part of this framework that we have designed. Next is we build a complete framework for services. Services are nothing but you can imagine a set of APIs or applications that we have used to expose the underlying PeopleSoft logic to ODA to consume. So basically, the PeopleSoft has application logic. ODA is going to consume it for having the conversational experience for the end users. There are certain applications that needs to be exposed to ODA that is done with the help of this framework or service framework that we have delivered along with this chatbot integration framework. So that's taken care of. Obviously, the security authentication aspect becomes a part of this framework as well. We give you certain configuration setups, very easy setup pages for you to be able to maintain the bots that are either delivered by PeopleSoft and the ones that you uptake, or when you build your own bots. There are always certain components that you have to plug in. We give you a set of simple pages in PeopleSoft, something that you are used to in any other product area that you use. Go to those pages and simply plug in those information and start using the bot. So we are trying to take away as much technicality away from the customers as much as we can with the help of such configuration pages. We provide you a UI. So the PeopleSoft chatbots that we deliver at present are all hosted in PeopleSoft application itself, and for that we needed to provide a user interface. That user interface is also being standardized and will be available for all the PeopleSoft bots that we deliver, as well as all the PeopleSoft bots that you would design and host within PeopleSoft. So you can reuse the same user interface because that's covered as a part of this framework. Last but not the least, there is something called as a skill template that is delivered. So while we do have a huge roadmap of application bots that we would be delivering from PeopleSoft, almost every image, however, we also understand the needs of organizations to build their own bots specific to their needs. If they have any custom requirements, they would, and if they want to build their own bots, leveraging PeopleSoft as their source system, what we have provided is a skeletal structure of a bot packaged and provided as a part of this chatbot integration framework, which the customers can use. They will make use of all of these features within the skill template. Basically, that is something that is tagged to the skill template, and all the customers have to do is build their own application logic on top of it. So we leave the technical parts, the authentication security part with the chatbot integration framework, and customers don't really have to bother about it. All they have to build is their respective application on top of it. So that kind of becomes a plug and play with something called as a skill template. And before I proceed, skill is nothing but bot in ODA. Any bot is termed as skill. So that's where we call it a skill template. Essentially, you can consider it as the skeletal structure of a bot without the functionality built in yet. So that's how a chatbot integration framework was built. It was designed to be scalable. It was designed to be reusable, and it certainly will be of great use to our customers who adapt the chatbot integration framework, we believe. All right. Moving on, so we did develop the chatbot integration framework. Now we had to design a new application bot for consumption of our users, for them to understand how the bots can be designed and delivered. So let me give you a brief background on how we did it at a very high level. So all of this happens in the Oracle Digital Assistant. The current pieces that I'm going to talk about. I'll be touch basing upon certain basic terminologies of designing a chatbot itself. So that kind of familiarizes you when you decide to build your own chatbot or when you decide to adapt PeopleSoft chatbots. So here I have given an example of the first chatbot that PeopleSoft delivered. We called it the Absence Assistant. This bot was designed to cater to your employees to complete their tasks such as requesting an absence or viewing their absence requests based on the absence status or based on the absence type. So they could just quickly just check with the absence bot, asking them, okay, show my leave, show my approved leaves, or show my leaves that have applied in October. They could simply go ahead and cancel any existing absence, so on and so forth. So the typical employee functions that are currently done in PeopleSoft application will also be supported as a part of Absence Assistant. So I will just run through very quickly how we went about designing this bot. Okay. So for any, and this kind of applies and extends to any application bot that PeopleSoft delivers, and I'm sure something that you as customers, when you build your own bots, would follow a similar process. So first and foremost, going with the assumption that at this stage, I have already decided as a product manager, I have decided on the set of use cases or set of services that I want to provide to my end users. And I've decided which end user I'm planning to cater to. The second step that comes is this that I'm talking about. I need to anticipate as a product manager, what are the different ways in which any user would interact with my bot, with my absence assistant. And general user inputs, like, the one that I have cited here, how many vacations, somebody would ask me, how many vacation leaves do I have? Someone else would ask the absence assistant, do I have enough leaves? Someone would ask, do I have enough leaves to apply for leaves in October 2020? There could be different ways in which a user can interact with the absence assistant depending on what services I support. All right. So these different user inputs that can possibly be used to interact with the absence assistant is called as utterances in the bot world in general, not just ODA. In general chatbot terminology, utterances are nothing but the corpus of such similar user inputs that the product designer has to take into account and feed into the bot system, so that whenever the user in real time actually interact with the bot using this or similar inputs, the bot can clearly understand what the user really wants to do. So utterances are nothing but user inputs at this point of time. So what a product designer does is he creates this set of utterances. He designs a set of utterances first, and then he maps each of these utterances to something called as an intent. Now, what is intent? Intent, at the very, very simplistic terms, is what is the intention of the user. So every utterance might have a different intention. In case of this particular utterance that I have highlighted, the customer is trying to understand the absence balance. Wants to know the absence balance. And that's exactly what a product designer has to do. He needs to understand, if this is the utterance, I need to map it to the intent. I can call it anything. Right now I'm calling it an absence balance. I give it a label, and I can call it absence balance, and I can map it. There have to be more than hundreds of such utterances that I have to map to each use case or intent, because every user will interact in a different way. So once I have this corpus of utterances, I will map each one of those to different intents. In this case, I have taken a simple example where if the user says, how many vacation leaves do I have? The intention of the user is really absence balance, and that is what it should resolve to. And both the utterances and intent are actually fed into the bot technology platform, in this case, the Oracle Digital Assistant. And you will see this in our forthcoming demonstrations, how it is actually being done. Then there's a third part. Now that you have told the bot that, okay, this particular utterance has to map to a specific user intention, you also need certain parameters now to resolve what you want to provide as a response to the user. When the user has asked, how many vacations leaves do I have, it certainly means that the user expects the exact number of vacation leaves that he has in the system available for him to utilize further on. So the bot now needs to start working on what the user question is. He starts to resolve it. He has to call on to the underlying source system. In this case, it is PeopleSoft, and needs to ping into PeopleSoft, check the logged in users' vacation leaves balance. And once the information is taken from the PeopleSoft with the help of those application services I referred to earlier, it has to formulate a response and provide it to the end user. So I've kind of clubbed these two things together just to make you understand how it works. So the parameters that it will require to resolve the user's intention, or the parameters it will require to ask the underlying source system to provide the relevant information, are called as entities in bot terminology again. So in this case, the entity that we have for the intent absence balance is always going to be the type of absence. So unless the type of absence is resolved, the bot will not be able to give the correct and precise information that the user is expecting. In case the user never mentioned the term vacation, like how many leaves do I have? If he would have put it in simple words like that, it is the bot's duty, or the bot has to react in a way where the bot actually prompts the user to say, ask the user, what type of leave are you referring to? Is it vacation? Is it sick? Or is it jury duty? It could be anything. So that is something the bot needs to either prompt or derive from the user input in order to be able to resolve the user intention. So this is again something that the product designer has to think through and identify. Now in this case, I have identified that it is going to be absence type. Right now it will resolve to the value of vacation. Now that the bot has all the answers it needs from the user, it knows the intention, it knows the parameters to resolve it, it will ping into the PeopleSoft system, get the required value. And once the information comes from PeopleSoft, this 48 hours that I'm showing right now, it will have to formulate a response that is again conversational in nature. Because we are giving a conversational experience to the user, the bot also has to respond in a way any human would respond to the user. So we will have to, the product designer has to formulate this response in a way where it conveys the exact information in a very human-like manner. All of these steps that I discussed so far were actually coded in a typical way within Oracle Digital Assistant using something called as a dialog flow. So dialog flow is nothing but a series of steps a bot would follow or a product designer has to enter as to what to do next, depending on what comes in from the user, till the time it pings into the source system, solicits the information it needs, and formulates the response back to the end user. It's called a dialog flow. So dialog flow is nothing but a code line which will direct the bot what to do next at every stage of user interaction. All right. So this is a very, very basic information about how the application bot absence assistant was designed and developed and delivered to you. All right. So going forward, we will be talking about the exact steps that we'll follow through. All right. So before I hand it over to Tarun and Priyambada for the steps, I quickly wanted to show you what roadmap we have. The ones that are marked in green right now are something that we have already delivered. So we have the absence assistant for the absence users and an employee directory assistant for quickly looking up employees in your organization, already delivered in the HCM space. We also have many more bots in our roadmap, as you can see. I'm not going to go through details of all of those. They will be available on our planned roadmap features and enhancements for more details. Similarly, in the FSCM area, we have requisition inquiry bot delivered, and we have many, many more bots coming in, and something that we have in the pipeline. So that's all I had. I would now be switching the control to Priyambada. So Priyambada, over to you.
Thanks, Amida. So you're able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. So before we get started with the hands-on, so this is a use case which we are going to demo today. The requisition enquiry skill chatbot allows your requesters to quickly search for their requisition items and view the status, right, of a particular item. And requesters can interact with the chatbot either using a text message or using a voice control. So based on the chatbot's response, they can begin the interaction like how Samida said, it's going to be a dialog flow with the bot client. So for example, to know the status of a requisition item, a requester can enter the item ID or an item description, which can be either complete or a partial one, and proceed with the conversation based on the options displayed on the chat window. And before we start with, in order to minimize the time, we have predefined certain configurations. To start with, content reference. Content reference is something which we need to create to enable the tile specific to the requester bot in ePro homepage. ePro is nothing but eProcurement homepage. And again, bot definition. So we have created bot definition which establishes a connection or a link between the Oracle Digital Assistant and PeopleSoft application through the channel ID value. So which we can see in detail in the demo. And application services. We have created application services to implement the business logic by making use of the application services framework from toolside. And again, last, custom components. Custom components allow your bot to communicate with the backend system, basically the PeopleSoft data. And let's get started now. Let's start cloning an existing or the delivered skill template, PS skill template. Right click on clone option. Give the appropriate name. And search for the skill what you have created just now. So this is a skill which we have created just now. Let's start defining the intent. We are going to create 4 different intents. This is basically to identify your item ID and item description. So once you are done, you're going to define the entity, which is nothing but the keyword recognition from the utterances or the dialog flow. This is a regular expression to recognize your item ID, which can be a combination of your special characters and also numbers. Looks like we have already created this item ID. Okay, we'll just get started with this item description. Okay, so once these are created, so we have created two different entities. You could see like item description and item ID. We'll be adding the utterances now. We'll move on to the intent section. We'll define the utterances for greeting. We'll define it for exit greeting. We'll define it for item ID status. And last for item description. So we are done with the utterances definition. Let us associate that entity to an intent. You could see that item ID status. And similarly for item description. So we are done with the mapping. Let us fill the code changes. These are predefined code changes which are there as part of the delivered skill template. We'll just modify this code line specific to the requester bot. So once we paste the code changes, we have to validate this once for the any syntactical errors. So it's done. Let's train the bot. Looks like some of the intents are not having the utterances. Let's cross check on that. Yes, we are having it for all. So once this step is done, let's move on to configuration settings. Click on the configuration. Check for the parameter PS FSCM base URL. So this is something which we have to modify, pointing to the PeopleSoft instance. After this configuration, we have to create a new channel. You can give the relevant channel name. The channel type you can select as Oracle Web. Once all the definition is done, you just click on create. Filter the channel just now you have created. Route it to the skill, whatever has been defined. Enable the channel. Just make a note of this channel ID, which has to be defined or mapped under your bot definition ID in the PeopleSoft system. So this is done. Okay. Let's move on to the PeopleSoft system. I'm just making a note of this channel ID. Log into your PeopleSoft system. Click on e-procurement tile. Before to that, you have to map that channel ID with the appropriate bot definition. So eProQuest is there, which is predefined as I mentioned in my earlier setups. The channel ID, whatever we have defined in the ODA system, you can just map it against to this particular bot definition ID and click on save. So once it is done, move on to the home page. click on e-procurement. So this is a tile which has been already defined, mapping to the bot ID. Just give hi. So this is a welcome message from the chat client. So it gives you options like how you have to start with your Dialogflow conversation with the bot. So if I want to inquire for a particular item status, I can give it as where is item followed by the item ID. Just a second. You could see it gives a list of all requisitions which matches with the item ID, whatever we have keyed in. So it gives a basic information. So in which particular line in this particular requisition, the item ID is there against which particular schedule, what is the unit of measure for that, and is there any supplier information related to that particular item, what is the current status of the requisition line. And if you want to look for some more information on the same, you could see like this is what in case if the line has been sourced to PO, then it gives this appropriate information regarding the PO ID, the line number against which this particular item was sourced. And if you want to have any specific item description, if you want to look for any menu based kind of conversation with the bot, you can just click on the item ID. So this is another alternate way which gives the same results. So this is a basic conversation which happens with the e-procurement requester inquiry bot. Yeah, so with that, I'll just switch over to Tharu.
Thanks, Premada. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes, Tarun, we can see. Go ahead.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Tarun, and I will present you a use case for chatbot creation from HCM. And we have taken a very simple use case, and that should be easy for everyone, each one of us to understand. Everyone of us can relate to it. So it's about fetching mail IDs for employees. So it's a company directory use case where users should be able to inquire business email addresses for any employee in the organization using simple conversation without navigating through menus, pages, or any other drill down things to identify the email address. So what we will do, we will design a chatbot that will understand the user's conversation. It will also identify the employee for which user is asking the email and then fetch the email address and then show it to him. So if you can see this diagram that we have put in here, user will provide the input, the intent will be resolved. We will check whether name has been provided in the user input. If yes, we directly go and fetch the email ID and show it to user. If it is not there, we'll ask the user that please provide the name of the employee for whom you are looking for email address, and then we'll fetch the email address of that employee and show it to user. So Before I start with, we have done some setups and some code I have already written just to save some of our time. So I will show you that. So if you see this, this is one of the application package we have created, and we have written an application class here that simply takes some input from the service, finds out what kind of input request is this. Is it related to email? Then we query the email records and send the output text. So this is very basic logic we have written to fetch the email ID for employees. Next thing I will show you is the application service that we have created for this app package. So if you see here, this is the root package ID, my application package that I showed you there. This is the class, and these are some more parameters where we define what are the input parameters that goes from ODA to PeopleSoft system, and what is the output parameter that comes from PeopleSoft system to ODA. So we are using these three parameters in the application package, reading the values of action and input text and sending the output text. So action will be email for our use case, input text will be the name of the employee or the full text, whatever user has typed in, and the output will be the email ID. Based on this, we also set some result states, whether the transaction was successful, whether it failed, or it was invalid. Next thing is we will start with our activity. So we have already delivered one a template skill that anyone can go and clone and start working on their chatbot. So we'll also search the same skill. So that is PS skill template. We have this skill template. I will just go here and clone it. And here I will say email assistant. I think we can put the same thing in the description, or maybe you can keep anything as you wish. I've just selected this checkbox, so once I clone it, this newly cloned skill will open. I don't have to search it again. Okay, so we have this email assistant skill now. What I will do is I will create some intents. You have already seen this in Priyambada's exercise, but this is kind of needed for each of our skills. So I will just do it. So I will create some intents, entry, greeting. So Samida showed you what does intent mean. So whenever user comes into this skill, into the bot, we will use these intents to differentiate what different tasks it will handle. So entry greeting, when user comes and say hi, we will use this intent to greet him. When user goes out and say bye or something, we'll use another intent that we will create now. So I'll say here exit greeting. And I will create the third intent that is related to our use case, and that is get email. So you can give any description that you want. I'm just copying whatever is there in the name. Okay, so we have created 3 intents that will handle 3 use cases: entry greeting, exit greeting, and get email. Next, what we'll do is we will add utterances to these intents. So I just go here. I've already opened the entry greeting. I say hi. And I say hello. So whenever user says hi or hello, the intent that will be resolved is entry greeting. I'll go to exit greeting and say here bye. And see. Now we'll go to the third intent that is related to our use case. We'll add some utterances here like find email, show email. So we can have any number of utterances here and in different format, maybe like what is, we can say a person's name and say what is Ben's email. Can say show me email of Jack, or show me email ID of Ben. So like this, we'll create the intent, the utterances, and we have already done the utterances for all 3. So we will just try it out if it works. So if I say here hi, we can see that entry greeting is getting resolved. If I say bye, the exit greeting is resolved. If I say show email, the get email is resolved. So this is working fine. So we'll just train it one more time, and next is we will configure the settings. So okay, so if you go to the configuration, we have given some parameters here in the template that we have delivered. So if you see this PS HCM base URL, so here we need to provide the URL of the system with which this skill is going to connect. So this is the system from where this skill will fetch all the data. So I will take the URL from my document. Edit this and provide this URL. Okay, so next is dialog flow. So we have already written the dialog flow for you, and we will just copy it from our system and just paste it here. This is the default dialog flow that is available with the skill template. So if you see this, maybe I will just show you some highlights here. So these are the 3 intents that I configured: entry greeting, get email, and exit greeting. And we have the separate flow for all 3. So do entry greeting flow is for entry greeting, and this is how you can write the flow. Similar thing is there for exit greeting, and we do have some flow for get email also. So this is the actual use case that we are trying to solve here. So it's very easy to write the dialog flow. I'll just validate it. Okay, so validate is done. Now I will go and create the channel related to this skill. So let's create the channel also with the same name. So there are different channel types available. At present, we support only Oracle Web. So it is the client that is available in the PeopleSoft system. Allowed domains is nothing but from which all domains this channel will request the input. So I'm just putting asterisk here so that it will take inputs from all the domains. I will disable the client authentication and I'll create this channel. Okay, so we have our channel created. I will just map it with the skill that we created just now. We'll enable this channel and we will copy the channel ID that we have. So our skill is done, our channel is done, and in a skill we have configured the URL for PeopleSoft system to which it will interact. Now we have to go to the PeopleSoft system and do some configurations there. So I'll go to the bot definition. So if you see here, we have ODA server URI, this one field. So in a skill, we have configured the URL of PeopleSoft system, and in PeopleSoft system, we have to configure the URL of ODA system so that both of them know each other. So we'll go to this email assistant thing and we will update the channel ID that we just now created here. And we have enabled it for role employee, and we'll save it. So once this is done, I will sign out and log in with one of the self-service user who will actually use this bot. So I will go here, personalize home page. I will search. So we have already created a content reference for this style, and that is tagged to your bot definition. So we just add this style to the home page of the user, and user comes here and opens the bot. So it is email assistant and I say hi. And this is the entry greeting that got resolved when user says hi. So now we will try something else like for email. So I say show email. So since I have not provided any name here, it is asking me the employee name. So I can say here SUSN. Susan Leo, and it finds the email ID for that name and shows it to me. I can also say show email for all of those. So it has identified that there is a name inside this text, and it has find the email ID for this. So how does it finds the name? We do have some service in PeopleSoft system that helps us to resolve the name from the input that has been given by user. There are multiple ways to do it. You can even do it in ODA using the entities, the way how Priyamvada showed you, and you can even do it in PeopleSoft system. So there is nothing mandatory like you have to resolve entities only in ODA. If you think you have a better solution that helps you to find out the entities in PeopleSoft system, you can even do that. So that's it from me.
All right, thank you guys very much. Just as a reminder for the folks that are on the phone, we are going to do some question and answers. So feel free to drop your questions in the question module, and we'll get those answers for you. So the very first question that's come in is, should we be using the term chatbot rather than digital assistants, or are they the same?
Hi. So Chatbot, Oracle Digital Assistant is the name of the technology platform. Digital Assistant in ODA, or Oracle Digital Assistant, is nothing but where you can have one or more chatbots merged together under one roof. Consider it very similar to our universal remote or something. So a chatbot is termed as skill in ODA, whereas digital assistant in ODA can be a combination of one or more chatbots accessed through a single medium. Does that answer your question?
Awesome, thank you very much. See, does the mapping of the utterances to intent occur from ODA configuration consultant at a client site?
Tarun, could you come again on that question, please?
Yep. So does the mapping of the utterance to intent occur from ODA configuration consultants at a client site, or delivered by Oracle in the delivered offering?
So it is a part of ODA configuration. Whatever skills Oracle is delivering, it will have some utterances, but customers can enhance them as per their wish anytime.
And just to add to that, how it works is in ODA, as you must have seen, the intents were mapped to utterances, and then we had trained the bot. All of this is taken care by ODA. There is a natural language processor that syncs up the intent with the utterances, and that is where it is entirely managed today. So you can add new utterances, but whatever application bots are delivered from PeopleSoft does come with a great deal of corpus of utterances delivered.
And a follow-up question is it a one-to-one map setup?
When it comes 1:1 for every intent, yes, there can be more than one utterances. Rather, it is expected the more number of utterances it is, the better your bot will be at resolving the user intention, because it kind of diversifies. So it is one to many for each intent. Intent to utterance mapping happens that way. Does that answer the question?
Thank you very much. Let's see. Does the bot store passwords of each user to log in and show an item?
No, it does not store. The authentication happens through the PeopleSoft session, but it does not store anything related to password.
Awesome, thank you. What are the settings that are needed to be configured to integrate the ODI and PeopleSoft within PeopleSoft system?
You did look at the bot definition page that Tarun and Priyamvada must have shown. So there are around 2 or 3 pages. The basic configuration that you have to make is on that page. Whenever you create a new bot, you create a new bot definition. So bot definition is nothing but you just give it a name, and the very important factor that you have to copy, which Priyamvada and Tarun must have shown you, is the channel ID. So that's kind of that integration piece that we have to add. So that's very simple, single configuration page. The other page that we have delivered along with the bot definition page is more or less got to do with how your messaging area looks. So the area where the user actually chats with the bot, that can be configured to a certain extent, the color, the fonts and stuff like that. We call it a branding. So for every bot, you could have some branding associated. So we have given setups for that as well. We don't want you to do all of that in ODA. We are giving you a simple configuration page in PeopleSoft to do that. Because if you were to do that branding in ODA, you would have to write JavaScripts and JSONs. Create that. So you do have simple pages. You will get a lot of details about this on the PeopleSoft Online Help in Chatbot Integration Framework itself.
Great, thank you. Is a dialog flow automatically created in application service registry?
So Dialogflow is part of ODA. Application services are part of PeopleSoft system. So whatever services you have created in PeopleSoft system, you have to write Dialogflow related to those, how to use those, how to pass the input to PeopleSoft system, and how to fetch the output from those services and then show it to user. So Dialogflow is nothing but the flow in which user will talk to the bot, and it has to be written at ODA side.
Great, thank you. On the chatbot install guide, it refers to an external site. How is the external site used?
Can you repeat that question again?
Yep. So on the chatbot install guide, it refers to external site. How is this external site used?
So can that question be elaborated more? I'm not able to relate it with what does that external site means actually.
So if the attendee could just drop in some more information, we can follow up with that. So we'll just go to the next question for right now. What if there are more than one name matching?
In case of the email assistant bot example?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, yeah. So we just showed you a simple use case where we had only one mapping. If you look at the employee directory assistant, we have covered for all such cases. When there are more than one, the bot will show you those and it will actually be ranked before it is shown to you. There is a lot of detailing that we have done on that. So the bot presents the list of matching employees and with some additional information for the user to be able to discern between those employees. And the user can pick up the employee that he was really referring to based on that information. So we give additional information like job code, department, the location from which the person works, or who he or she reports to. So even if you have much more better information about that person other than name, you'll be able to find that person. So in this example that we showed, we just simply try to help you understand how we would build a chatbot. That was just a simplest use case. That kind of extends to every other intent that we develop, and that's how our bot in general develops. So it will have lots of other states that will be covered. Does that answer your question?
Great, thank you very much. Can you talk about how you can install the digital assistant, or is it delivered in 8.5.8 or another PeopleSoft version?
So it is supported from 8.57.07 tools, and we have some we have already shared the people books and all those details, what all is needed to install the bot in PeopleSoft system.
Okay, thank you. Can multiple intents map into a single bot? For example, check email, check leaves.
Yes, it is always possible. Functionally, we can have any number of intents and we can, cater to any functionality. So yeah, you can have check leaves, we can have get email, get our employee directory assistant chatbot that is already delivered actually encompasses not just email, it also allows you to check for someone's work address, phone numbers, or even the manager, direct reports. So you can ask for all sorts of questions. There can be many intents in one bot.
Great, thank you. Can this chatbot be hosted on a client website, which is outside of PeopleSoft domain, or does it have to stay within a PeopleSoft domain?
So at present, we are supporting only the PeopleSoft system, but ODA allows you to use multiple channels. So you can even have it over SMS. So from Oracle side, at present, we support only the web client that is embedded in the PeopleSoft system, but there are other ways that customers can explore and use it. So it still remains it's only about channel that has to be created on the top of the skill.
To just add to that, that's precisely what our framework does. So because if you plan to embed it on an external site, the authentication and security aspect of it might have to be developed by the customer. What we do in CIF, or the customer integration framework, is we are taking care of the security, authentication, and all the other aspects, so that your, the data that is accessed is secure, or the login user does not get access to information other than what he or she is supposed to access. So all that is covered as a part of that framework. But when it comes to going beyond the domain of what the the chatbot integration framework does, that becomes the completely development from scratch for the customer.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Can we configure a multilingual bot?
At present, ODA does support a few languages. However, due to certain integration issues, we are able to support only English. However, we are looking forward to supporting more than one language. So that will come in near future.
Great, thank you. And are there any chatbot usage reports?
Few partners who are implementing it for the customers. So we don't have a go live customer report yet, but we do have customers and partners who are in the process of implementing right now. Many of them are right now in the process of running up their tools to 85707, because that becomes the basic requirement. So they are in that process as well.
Great, thank you. And then, excuse me, how could you link mail ID from PeopleSoft and provide it in the DA?
I'm sorry, Karen, could you please come again?
Yep. So how could you be able to link the mail ID from PeopleSoft and provide it in the, I think it's the DA?
Okay, ODA. That was done with the help of the application services. So on a very high level, what happened is when Tarun had written the intent and the utterance on the ODA side, and then he simply copied the dialog flow, because in the interest of time. But in the dialog flow, at the point where he understands the user intent, he had called into the PeopleSoft system, and he also showed the application services that he had developed in PeopleSoft. So that was the application service he called into. It's like calling a function, and it pinged into it, and with the required input, and then the application service processed the data, provided the output that was sent back to ODA. And that's the reason, and that was again taken in the dialog flow, and then Tarun wrote a wrapper on top of it, in the form which he could convey to the user, in the form of a message to the user. So that's how the entire communication works at a very high level. So we are actually digging into the user. So the user's login has been taken care of. You know which user has logged in and which employee he is referring to. So all the information is available for Tarun to process and get the required email. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And then, so the last question, we're just running out of time. Two more questions here. So do we need IB for other modules other than absent management to be linked?
Could you please repeat the question?
IB.
Do you need IB to, outside of absent management, to link to the DA?
You directly don't need any IB service. So application services that we are using for integration with ODA are based out of integration broker only, but there are no explicit services that you will need to enable for application services.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And then, are there any considerations for chatbot outside of HCM and financials at this point in time?
Yes, there are. So I think you're referring to ELM and help desk, that is CRM. Is that correct?
And campus solution, it looks like.
Campus solutions as well. So for campus solution, I might not be the right person to answer, but for the ELM and HRHD areas, there are certain thought processes that we are into. But yeah, I mean, that is something we are looking at, but not committed at this point of time.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
If that person can shoot out that email, I'm sorry, Taryn. We can have it pointed to the right point of contact so that they can answer them a bit.
Perfect. Thank you. For everybody that was on the phone, thank you guys for joining us. We have kind of got over our time, so we're just gonna wrap it up here. But if you have any additional questions, feel free to drop them through the chat module or reach out to us. We'll make sure that we get back to you guys. So as a reminder, the session was recorded. The slide decks will also be provided onto the Quest content library. We'll follow up with an email once that's all available. For the whole Oracle team, thank you guys for participating, and we appreciate you guys taking the time to present on the PeopleSoft Global Day, and we look forward to talking to you at the next Global Day. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.